What's up, everybody? Welcome back. At long last, we are talking about the raid. This is something a lot of people have been asking me for, some kind of guide to the raid, talking about what teams work best, kind of dividing up your teams into 4 different groups based on how they perform, and just what you want to focus on for each individual fight. So we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about what teams work best, some decent substitutions you guys can bring in, and we'll just go ahead and cover all of that stuff. So if you guys do want to check out a pretty well written comprehensive raid guide, there's also a website, badc.info. There's a link to their raid guide down below as well if you just want to kind of read things there. That is also a great place to check out a lot of other stuff as well for the game Dragon Champions. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into how to build up your teams for the Erochar's raid. When it comes to building up your teams for the raid, there's 3 steps you should really follow. The first step is to take your attackers and divide them into 4 categories: physical damage, turn meter removal, magical damage, and characters who can hit multiple times with one attack or call others to assist with abilities. The turn meter removal and the multi-hit assist abilities, those should be the ones you prioritize first. There's not a lot of characters who can do that. For example, Master Duo and Fow are 2 pandas who can remove turn meter. They also do physical damage, but because they remove turn meter, they should be prioritized for that category. VENOMATE and KAIRA can call each other to assist with their abilities. You should prioritize them for those categories first, and then once you have those 2 categories filled out, then divide the rest of your attackers between physical and magical damage. Those are a little more broad, and those are much easier to fill out. Once you have your attackers divided into 4 categories, find a good leader that fits in with them. For example, Patriarch Chi is a fantastic lead, especially for an order team. A lot of healing, there's shield regeneration. You'll be able to last deep into fights against raid bosses with that leadership. So it's going to be something that you can use to help really make your teams last, really get those nice damage numbers. While on the other hand, you have a leadership like Rantha who can provide damage boosts to your team. She doesn't make your team as survivable as a Patriarch Chi lead can, but she's able to boost the damage numbers on your team and make them hit harder. So kind of way back and forth, find leaders that are going to fit in with each other, and obviously, kind of keep the factions together. You don't want to put Patriarch Chi on a team with a bunch of clan members, and you also don't want to put Rantha in with a bunch of order members. They don't get a lot of synergy there. So then once you have the leadership figured out, the last step is to take the team and fill it out with the proper support and healer characters. Xantara is a fantastic plug-and-play healer character. She can fill into any team really. She can reduce cooldowns. She's not specific to one faction. On the other hand, Mortha is kind of something that you really want to focus on with just a clan team. She's the only clan faction healer we have in the game right now, so it's probably best if you save her for a team where she's going to be able to get those boosts from a leadership there, or something that will give her a boost to her healing, since her healing is kind of lackluster anyways. So take those, and then also any support characters that can, say remove turn meter, maybe you want to put them in with the attackers who can remove turn meter, or have some kind of synergy with those characters as well. That is something to remember, that is something that you should keep in mind as you are filling out these teams. So the first phase in this raid is going to be against SOLIUS with the ability to summon the minions DARIAN and BATTY. Now, the priority for this team should be only physical damage. SOLIUS has a significant damage reduction against magical damage, so you do not want to use those characters here. Only focus on physical damage dealers, and at the same time, prioritize 2 damage dealers who can use AoE attacks. Now, my personal preference is using Snorri and Revel, as they can build off each other with bleed, have some pretty significant damage with their AoE attacks. They work great, but not everybody's going to have those characters, so you will need to build them out and see who will fit in here pretty well. There also will be needs to control the minions. The 2 minions can taunt, and they can also dispel at the same time, so having strong AoEs can quickly whittle them down, and then finally use off some attacks from, say, a tank or support character to finish off those tanks and allow your damage dealers to focus just on SOLIUS. You can bring in some dispels if that's going to help prevent the taunts or dispel the taunts. Ability block will also work great here, and then some kind of cleansing ability will also be helpful for removing blind, because SOLIUS has the ability to put a blind on your entire party, so some kind of cleanse will help with that. Now the ideal team is going to be a Tromgar lead with Revel, Snorri, Hard Orc, and Xantara. Obviously not everyone's going to have that. Hard Orc is not exactly a widely available character. If you do not have that kind of team, I suggest you guys take a look at using a full orc team for this fight. Your orcs are going to have pretty much mostly physical damage. The only one who does magical damage are Corkrim and Mortha, so you can swap out Corkrim and bring in another AoE attacker like Snorri, because Mar will still have some good AoE damage, and Mortha will be your healer for the team. Something like that with some pretty significant AoE damage with physical damage, that is what you want to prioritize. So Orcs is a great sub-in team. A lot of people are building up their Orcs anyways right now for the SOLIUS Legendary event coming here soon. So you will get some pretty solid return by using your Orcs within Phase 1 against SOLIUS with his 2 summoned minions. Now, Phase 2 is pretty much the trickiest fight that you're going to have within this raid, for the simple reason that as the boss takes damage, he gains turn meter. So your main boss is going to be MEGAWHEEL, and he will have the summoned minions KAIRA and VENOMATE. Now, anytime you damage MEGAWHEEL, he will gain some decent turn meter. So anything that can remove turn meter, those are the characters you want to bring in here. So Foul, Master Duo, Little Batty, and Robin Bad can both remove turn meter as well. Freezard can remove turn meter. The ideal team is going to be something like the lead you see here, DARIAN lead, because he can help remove pain, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But if you can find some way to dispel effects from the enemy team, that is also going to be very helpful here, because VENOMATE and KAIRA can both buff MEGAWHEEL and give him damage up, speed up, they can give him counter, they can really make him a strong boss that can really wreck your team pretty quickly. So if you can find some way to dispel those buffs or put ability block on VENOMATE and KAIRA to prevent them from placing those buffs on MEGAWHEEL, that is something that's going to be very helpful for you in this phase. If you can also, kind of slow him down and remove that turn meter, it helps slow down the fight and helps prevent him from getting more stacks of his damage bonuses, because as those stack up and as he puts more pain on your team, his AoE ability is going to do more and more damage. So a leadership like DARIAN, able to help cleanse those pain debuffs from your team, that is something that's very helpful here. That's going to help reduce the amount of damage and give you more time. Now, you can see here this screenshot, it's a panda team. There's Patriarch Chile with Snorri, Kinley, Master Duo, and Foul. Some solid turn meter removal with Master Duo and Foul. Snorri is able to do some nice AoE damage, kind of help whittle down KAIRA and VENOMATE, and the Patriarch Chi lead is able to, help give boost the shields on your team, make them more durable. Not exactly one I would use, but I would go for that DARIAN lead with some turn meter removal characters. That'd be my personal preference, and like I said before, Freezard is someone you can bring in here and make it really helpful, because that he can do a lot of turn meter removal and can also hit all 3 enemies at once while applying defense down. So moving on to Phase 3, this is pretty much the easiest phase in the raid, for the simple reason of you can pretty much ignore the 2 minions that come with Hard Orc. Hard Orc summons Corkrim and Mar as his minions, and honestly, at the end of the day, they really don't do much. They'll do some AoE damage, and Corkrim can randomly stun, but at the end of the day, they just don't have any kind of oomph. There's no threat to bringing them here. They don't buff up anybody. They don't taunt. They're just distractions. So you can pretty much ignore them and just go straight for Hard Orc. It's a very easy phase. There's no kind of strategic abilities here or something you have to watch out for. It's just going straight for Hard Orc and just doing as much damage as you can. Now, in terms of characters who work great here, I suggest Nightiel as a character that you should really build a team around. Nightiel is able to give your whole team damage up. She's able to hit really hard with her special, as you can see in the screenshot at the bottom. She is able to do half my team's damage. I did 400,000 with this team, and it wasn't even optimized. I lost Freezard not too early in the fight. So this kind of team with that Patriarch Chi lead, I can go 20 to 25 stacks in with the damage increase on Hard Orc before I finally die. It's a pretty easy phase. The only thing that you have to watch out for here is the AoE ability from Hard Orc, where he will be able to put heal and immunity on your team. Now, you can cleanse that with some different abilities. Nightingale is able to remove debuffs from herself. Patriarch Chi's Shield can also remove it. Lee can remove it from himself. There's a few different cleanses on this team already, so it's nothing too bad, and the cooldown reductions with Xantara allows Lee to taunt more often. So this kind of team right here that I have, this is the one I personally prefer for Phase 3. I think it's going to be one that's going to work really great, and maybe in the future with SOLIUS could get even better with the synergy between SOLIUS and Nightingale. We'll see, but not a lot of strategy here. Just kind of cleanse the heal and immunities as they pop up from Hard Orc and just wail away on him and ignore the minions. And then for the final phase, Erochar himself, there be dragons. You only have to fight Erochar. There's no minions, there's no kind of additional enemies that he'll have to attack. It's just a straight, you attack Erochar. It's not that simple though. At the beginning of each of his turns, Erochar refreshes a buff on himself called Steel Scales, and while he has this buff, he has significant damage reduction. He takes a lot less damage, and he will lose 1 stack of the buff every time he takes damage. This is why your multi-hit attackers and assist combos are very vital for this phase. If you just have a couple different characters wailing away on him, you're not going to do much damage. So multi-hit attacks, like Po, Shaolin, whatever that Kung Fu Panda's name is, he will do multiple hits and several different attacks. There's one attack that can do 7 hits alone. That will cut through any Steel Scales. Rantha with her bear pet Battle Poo, which I still cannot get over that name. The bear will constantly assist Rantha when she attacks. Also a bit of a side tank. And then KAIRA and VENOMATE both can assist each other. There is one thing you have to be careful of though. Erochar can put daze on your characters, which prevents assists and critical hits that can really hurt your damage potential. So having some kind of cleanse on hand for this team will be very, very helpful. If you cannot get rid of that daze, it's going to be very difficult for you to cut through the Steel Scales and be able to damage Erochar. So having some kind of cleanse on hand works here. KAIRA is also great here as a plug-and-play kind of character because she can put counter on your tanks, and when those tanks counter, they will remove 1 stack of the Steel Scale. So Rantha's bear pet and another tank together put those counter on both of them, and Erochar uses one of his AoE abilities like his Fire Breath. That's 2 counters, that's 2 removals of the Steel Scales. So her with the counters, any kind of countering abilities will be something to really consider here. Assist, counters, multi-hit abilities, that's what you want to go for. So a Rantha lead will work great here. She also has an ability that can hit 8 times, I believe, with her volley of arrows. That will work. That is pretty much what you want to go for. This is kind of what we call the kitchen sink. You just throw whatever you have left at this phase, because there's no other fights after you finish off Erochar. That's the end of the fight. So pretty much throw anything you have left here, but of course your multi-hit and assist combos and the characters like that, those will be your best performers here. Those are the ones who will deal the most damage. So that is something that you want to take a look at as you're setting up these teams, is this is who you want to save for. Old Lore is also another character I know a lot of people buy starter packs for. He has a multi-hit attack too, so this is a place where he could, you know, ideally get you some damage too. So this is pretty much everything you need to know to tackle the raid and defeat Erochar. Guides for all the different teams. Some of these teams will probably do more in-depth videos on later. The Phase 1 team with Revel and Snorri and everything, definitely going to be doing a video on that. I think we're going to call it like Bloody Revolution or something. We're still working on the name. But big thank you to Battlecry Blues for that footage, as well as my guild leader Metatho, who also runs the BADC website, for submitting some raid footage for me as well for this video. Hope you guys have found this video to be very useful and very informative for you guys, to help you guys figure out some teams to use for the raid, see what you guys can do out there. Let me know down below in the comments if you guys have any questions or comments. As always, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.